from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Tonight, 4 kidnapped students of the University of Lafia in Nasarawa State regain freedom. President Muhammadu Buhari orders troops to use force against bandits, starting with an operation in Niger State as bandits abduct 15 persons in Mashagu local government area of the state. PDP and APC prepare for all important meetings this week. Main opposition party says moving to rescue Nigeria is an all-important task. And on the foreign scene, Novak Djokovic is reported from Australia and in dreams of participating in the Australian Open. We begin with good news coming from Nasarawa State, where 4 kidnapped students of the Federal University of Lafia have been freed. In a statement by the Information and Public Relations Unit, the 4 students who were kidnapped on Thursday, January 13th, were released during the late hours of Saturday by their abductors. According to the statement, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Shehu Abdurrahman, said the students who were kidnapped outside the university premises have confirmed fit to resume learning activities. He asked members of the university community to remain calm and go about their normal activities. Residents of Nahuche community in Bundugu local government area of Zamfara state have staged a peaceful protest at Government House Gusau over incessant killings, abductions and killings and attacks on innocent members of the community. A spokesperson for the community, Musa Nahuche, laments that the community has paid over 200 million naira as ransom to abductors and attackers of innocent members of their community, and therefore wants the government to deploy more security personnel to the area. He explains that members of the community staged the peaceful protest of the government house to inform the governor of the challenges being faced by residents of Nahuche community. The spokesperson asked that 5 persons were abducted by the suspected terrorists, and after paying ransom, the terrorists refused to free their victims, instead attacking the community, abducting another 8 persons and demanding 2 motorcycles known as Boko Haram motorcycles from the community.
We come to see our executive governor to brief him on what is happening currently in the Nahuche, because we have been attacked up to 12 times in Nahuche in different times. We suspend a lot in this exercise, in this project. The bandits, I think this is a general term. So everybody knows the bandits are attacking people here and there. No, this time, now today it's within two days. The bandits attack us and hijack at least 8 people. Run away with them in the town. We have tried all our possible best, but we cannot locate them. We need the support of the government to intervene, to make a permanent base in Nahuche. At least maybe by 10 soldiers or 50 mobiles to be a base in Nahuche at all times. Therefore, any time something happens nearby, maybe they will give a reaction in good time.
On the backdrop of bandits' assaults on communities in Niger State, President Muhammadu Buhari has set the ball rolling for a major military operation in the state. A statement by his senior special assistant on media, Mr. Garba Shehu, says the president has asked the military to respond robustly to the cases of killings and kidnappings in the state and to give effect to the strategic objectives through the use of force. The president reiterated that security is a responsibility of every member of the community, and only through solidarity and cooperation with law enforcement will the challenges be resolved. He adds that the federal government is willing to strengthen support and cooperation with all states of the federation. In the meantime, armed men suspected to be bandits have today stormed 2 communities in Mashagu local government area of Niger State through Jigawa and rustled unspecified number of cattle. In a press statement, the public relations officer of Niger State Police Command, Wasiu Abiodun, stated that the criminals broke into a superstore at Kawo village. Abiodun further revealed the bandits also attacked Kulo village, a remote community in Mashugu, and abducted about 15 people. He hinted that a team of policemen and vigilante have been drafted to the area to search and rescue the abducted victims. As members of the National Assembly prepare for resumption come Tuesday, January 18th, one of the major tasks in front of them will be a report on missing police arms and ammunition. The audit report was contained in the annual report of the Auditor General of the Federation for the year ended December 31st, 2019 and submitted to the National Assembly. Our next report examines issues raised in the audit report regarding the missing arms.
The Nigerian police force is saddled with the responsibility of maintaining internal security throughout the country. With a staff strength of almost 400,000, there are plans currently to increase the number to 650,000 with the recruitment of 10,000 policemen annually. However, the challenges facing the force go beyond shortage of personnel. More importantly is the availability of adequate operational tools, especially firearms. A recent report by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation shows that about 178,459 different types of arms and ammunition got missing from the Nigeria Police Armory in 2019. According to the report, the audit spawned from three sources: the Arms Movement Register, monthly return of arms and ammunition, as well as the Ammunition Register. While slightly over 88,000 of this figure are reported to be AK-47 rifles, 3,907 are assorted rifles and pistols from different formations nationwide.
If such level of arms are missing the police, it means they are going to wrong hands. And these guns could be used anyhow and anywhere. People are not safe. But what I do not really understand, the period is given when these arms got missing. But we're not told how they got missing. You know, Nigeria police, Nigeria as a whole has gone through pretty serious security challenges.
Although the relevant authorities appear silent about the alarming number of missing arms, experts say if the report is something to go by, the spate of insecurity across the country may become more worrisome.
It is very important to state that the appointment of an armorer in the Nigerian police force, you must know the kind of person you are appointing as your armorer. If I'm a DPO, whoever I'm going to appoint as my armorer, I must know his level of integrity, the kind of a person he is, and he must be appointed in writing.
There are many sources of missing arms and ammunition. If you can see, you know what happened in Imo State, in other states of the country, whereby police are attacked. The bandit will go to the police station, attack the policeman, and the policemen sometimes they will abandon the arms because they are looking for the safety of their life.
With the audit report already submitted at the National Assembly, the relevant committees, upon resumption of the lawmakers, may have to analyze the report and ask questions that will throw more light into the findings by the Auditor General's office.
Staying with security, the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Mr. Bola Tinubu, is offering to support the federal government to end terrorism in the country. Mr. Tinubu was speaking today when he visited Katsina State to condole with the state government and people of the state over the murder of the State Commissioner of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Rabi Nasir, as well as the recent insecurity upsurge in the state. He further asked residents to share relevant information with security agencies on suspicious movements in their communities, urging them to support leaders who are determined to end terrorism. In his response, the Katsina State Governor, Aminu Masari, said his administration is doing its best to restore peace and security in the state, further saying he has established 40 community conflict resolution centers to resolve communal issues and reduce the workload of the judiciary. Mr. Tinubu was accompanied to Katsina State by Senator Kashim Shettima, Malam Nuhuri Badu, Senator Abu Ibrahim, as well as member of House of Representatives, Honorable James Folake. Beg your pardon. Barely days after the governor Nyesom Wike alleged the police was involved in illegal refinery activities, the River State Police Command says it has set up a panel to investigate a divisional police officer who's alleged to own an illegal refinery. A statement by the police says the unnamed DPO has been redeployed and a panel headed by an assistant commissioner of police inaugurated to investigate the matter with a promise to make findings public. A statement adds that the Commissioner of Police, Ebuka Friday, has restated the commitment of the force to support the state government in its war against illegal oil bunkering. Governor Wike had also demanded the immediate redeployment of the head of the anti-vandal unit of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps for providing cover to illegal refiners. In response to the allegations, the Commandant General of the NSCDC, Ahmed Audi, announced the disbandment of the River State Anti-Vandal Unit and the suspension of the head of the team pending the outcome of an independent inquiry into the allegations. We're delving into politics now. Governors elected under the platform of the People's Democratic Party have arrived in Port Harcourt, River State, ahead of the forum's meeting tomorrow. First to arrive was the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, who was received by the host governor, Nyesom Wike. He was followed by the Enugu State Governor, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, who arrived a few minutes later. Also in the state is the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, who, like his other contemporary, was received by Governor Wike. Other governors in attendance are the governors of Abia, Okezie Ikpeazu, Bauchi State, Bala Muhammad, and Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri. Governor of Sokoto, Waziri Tambuwal, was also present, while the Deputy Governor of Zamfara was also in attendance. This is the first meeting of the forum after the party's national convention in October last year, where new members of the National Working Committee were elected. According to a statement signed by the Director General of the PDP Governors Forum, Cyril Maduabum, more governors will be joining with these governors. On the agenda for the meeting is a review of the state of the states, the state of the nation, and readiness of the PDP to provide the necessary leadership to rescue and rebuild Nigeria. A statement from the governors says the PDP governors are working in concert and consultations with other leaders of the party, and in particular, the senior Senator Iyorchia Ayu led a National Executive Committee to craft a credible process and program for Nigeria's positive rebirth. As the governors and other chieftains of the All Progressives Congress prepare to meet this week to deliberate on issues affecting the party, across River State Governor Professor Ben Ayade is optimistic the meeting will draw a path for the roles to be played by all and sundry. Governor Ayade was speaking on his way to Abuja with the political tempo already building up. He says it's important for the party to come out with a clear roadmap on major issues affecting the party and its chances in the 2023 election.
Trip is to actually have a high-level interaction and discussions with my colleagues on critical issues as we approach 2023 and to draw up an agenda that will have a clear understanding of my role and the position of Cross River State in the emerging politics. So I look forward to coming back with a lot of good news concerning all the issues that affect Cross River, including some of our critical projects and our prospective ambition as a state in order to support this nation and support the APC government to sustain power and to stay relevant in the government of the day. It is important for me to make it very clearly, very, very clear, that Cross River State is the only APC state in the South-South Nigeria. So our role and our position is very critical. We have a historical understanding of the power structure of this country. and I am there to articulate the position of Cross River State in our great party.
In part two, after the break, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo describes former head of interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekan's death as a big loss to the nation. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 4 kidnapped students of the University of Lafia in Nasarawa State regained freedom. President Muhammadu Buhari orders troops to use force against bandits, starting with an operation in Niger State as bandits abduct 15 persons in Mashogu local government area of the state. PDP and APC prepare for all important meetings this week. Main opposition party says moving to rescue Nigeria is an all-important task. And forward see Novak Djokovic is deported from Australia and in dreams of participating in the Australian Open. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, this evening visited the family of the late former head of interim national government, Chief Ernest Shonekan, in Lagos. Professor Osinbajo, who was accompanied by his wife, Dolapo, and other top aides, flew in from Abuja to condole with the wife, Margaret, and other members of the Shonekan family. Chief Shonekan died on Tuesday, January 11th, 2022, at the age of 85. Our correspondent, Olu Phillips, reports.
The list continues to swell as the days come by. People from all walks of life, including high-powered government delegation, visiting this neighborhood. This time, it's Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, arriving the Lugard House, residence of late Chief Ernest Shonekan, former head of interim national government. A solemn time it has been for members of this family, as the VP and his wife are received by Mrs. Margaret, wife of the late chief. He spares some time consoling and condoling with the wife of the late Chief Shonekan before offering prayers to God for the family.
Lord God Almighty, we ask that you just come and lay your hands upon our mother. Come and stand with her. Uphold her, O God. Keep her in good health. Keep her there. Keep her in peace. In the name of the Lord Jesus. We ask that you will do so for all members of the family. We ask that you preserve their lives, that everyone will live long and well. And that all of their prayers, all of their desires, you will bring to fulfillment. In the name of Jesus. Thank you for everyone who is here. We ask that you come and bless every person who is here. Lay your hands upon each and every one of us. Give us cause for joy and thanksgiving always. Let this year be the best year yet for each and every one of us. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
As required, he goes on to pen his tribute before speaking on the life and times of the late elder statesman.
It's a very major loss for the country, for the private sector, and even internationally, because here was a man who made impact, not just, he was one of the very first leaders in the private sector to begin to shape economic policy, in Nigeria, and his role in that respect was significant. And of course, many of us know that at various times his intervention in many ways defined the way that economic policy was framed or economic policy was drawn up. So he was very very consequential as a leader in the private sector. And of course, there's no question at all about the role that he played at a very tension-filled and uncertain time in the life of the nation, especially with as head of the interim national government.
Over the next few days and weeks ahead, we expect that this is kind of momentum and traffic that will be witnessed around the Lugard Avenue here in Ikoyi. From Ikoyi, right in front of the Lugard House, Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
We count down to the February 2022 proposed date for the National Convention of the All Progressives Congress. There have been allegations of planned extension of the event. A group under the aegis of APC Rebirth is alleging that the Buni-led caretaker committee is behind plans with the purpose of buying time. A spokesperson for the group, Aliu Audu, says the plot is to shift the date on the excuse of by-elections holding by February end. According to Mr. Audu, in a statement, the real plot is to use the planted February 25th date to buy more time, pretending it has no knowledge of the forthcoming by-election, by which time it will be left with no option but to postpone the much-awaited February convention to another date. The group laments the 6-month extension of the convention is now running to its 19th month. While members of the group are proposing February 19th date, it's promising to resist any plan to reschedule the date beyond February 2022. Crowdfunding is one of the options young politicians are considering in order to have more young people on the ballot during the 2023 general elections. The Nigeria Alliance, a coalition of young people, is already targeting 29 young aspirants for House of Representatives and State Houses of Assembly. The group plans to raise funds for nomination forms and campaigns for its members.
It's a gathering of young people, many of whom aspire to contest for the House of Representatives and State Houses of Assembly in 2023. As time ticks for the general elections, many here believe strongly in the need to get involved in party politics.
The only way to bring change is by participating from one level to local government, state, zonal and national level. If we continue to flow into the party structure, we'll find it very easy to bring on board young people that will change this country. We need to mobilize and engage young people into politics.
The coalition also plans to address the challenge of funding, which has impeded the chances of many young people in the past.
You know, we're not too young to run, but most times we're not rich enough to run. And that's why this collective exists. We intend to support aspirants with nomination form subsidies, your transport and logistics, publicity and media, branding, capacity development, and campaign management.
Although funding seems to be a major barrier to the participation of youths in Nigerian politics, some are more concerned about having a transparent electoral process.
We need more digital input into the electoral process that will bring speed and accuracy and reduce the room for mismanagement and what do we call that other word? Mago.
For others, the population of young people cannot be wished away by any political party in the forthcoming general elections.
No political party can play with the young people. Just take an instance. Last year, the NSAS matter. It was very, very huge. We thank God that we all survived it. So no political party can play with the youth now. Whether they want, let them make this, the election, the party primaries very, very expensive. The concern of the young people have been heard by Nigerians. And Nigerians are looking out to pick credible youths that have distinguished themselves in profession, in character, and in learning, to send them to represent them in these coming 2023 elections.
The 2023 general elections is about a year from now, and as the political parties strategize, many young politicians here do not want to leave their fate to chance.
We'll leave politics for the moment to education now, as traditional leaders in Adamawa State have commended the state government for evolving policies targeted at reducing the number of out-of-school children in the state. The leaders are making this observation during the visit of representatives of the State Ministry of Education and Human Development to some local government areas in Adamawa. The team from the state government was also accompanied by representatives of the State Basic Education Board and a team from the federal government aimed at reducing the number of out-of-school children in Adamawa State.
Adamawa, like some states in northern Nigeria, has a problem of a huge number of out-of-school children. As part of efforts towards increasing the enrollment of children in schools, the Adamawa state government has started profiling out-of-school children for enrollment into non-formal learning centers across the state. The state government has also been interacting with opinion leaders to get them involved in ensuring more children enroll in schools. This is one of such interactions between the Adamawa state government and traditional leaders. The government is establishing a basic monitoring committee headed by district heads in the 104 districts in the state. The team is visiting Demsa and Sheleng traditional councils for a technical session to map out modalities to nominate enumerators for wards and villages in each local government area. Children from internally displaced persons camps, as well as those under the Sangaya school system, are some of those targeted to be absorbed into 60 established learning centers.
Adamawa State is trying to see that our children are not left behind in case of education, more especially those are the out-of-school children.
Education has become one of the most vital tools that each and everyone is supposed to have. But it's very unfortunate their parents are poor, they don't have money to sponsor their children. That issues contribute a lot in the failure of the dropout that we're talking about.
The coordinator of the Better Education Services Delivery for All, BETSA, in the state, describes the challenge as enormous but surmountable, just as the State Commissioner of Education issues a warning to parents who refuse to send their children to school.
When 2020 NEETS report came out, Adamawa has 437,000 out-of-school children. So it means no matter what number you take off the street, if you don't curtail their production, we are not doing any work. So we want to use the traditional institutions to curtail their generation, then we now tackle those that are in existence.
They should bring their children to school. Anybody that doesn't bring the chief, this first class chief will address him, they will come and they won't repeat that again.
The district heads are to nominate enumerators from the ward and villages to ensure the exercise is completed before the end of January 2022.
Still ahead on the news at 10, state governors working on reducing cost of governance in the face of dwindling resources. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back and staying with education. Yobe State Governor Maimala Buni says his administration has demonstrated political will in salvaging the education sector through training and retraining of teachers, as well as creating an enabling environment for students to learn. The governor made the disclosure in Damaturu, the state capital, during the official launch of the Maiden Education Day and distribution of 100,000 textbooks and modern laboratory equipment.
Over the years, poverty, insecurity and ignorance have been the major factors responsible for the decline in the education sector in northern Nigeria, leading to an increase in the number of out-of-school children. Having declared a state of emergency on education, the Yobe state government's prompt payment of salaries and improved welfare of teachers is yielding results at national examinations.
We are also not oblivious of the fact that there is a very serious dwindling economy in Nigeria, much that some of the states are not able to pay salaries.
In a clear demonstration of its commitment, the government is launching a 100,000 textbooks program, modern laboratory equipment, as well as enhanced school feeding programs across the secondary schools.
The education sector was the most affected sector at the peak of insurgency attacks and needs prompt and defined action for speedy recovery to facilitate socio-economic development of the state. This administration has demonstrated adequate political will to salvage the sector by convening the first ever education summit, constitution of a technical committee for revitalization of basic and secondary education, splitting of the defunct Ministry of Education into Ministry of Higher Education and Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, training and retraining of teachers, introduction of improved school feeding program, and other administrative drives, all geared towards moving education forward in the state.
Many of the teachers
But these experts say politicization of the education sector through the recruitment of unqualified teachers is largely responsible for the decline in the sector.
The caliber of people in the system has contributed even to the destruction of education. Many of the teachers we have today in the system are not teachers. Somebody who claims to be a teacher, he cannot even read and write. Tell me what he's going to teach you.
In the rural areas, these days, because of the way they look at us in the cities taking the education, it's like they think it's waste of time.
With the commencement of academic activities in the new year, the initiative by the Yobe state government would bring succor to parents as well as improve school enrollments in the state.
We're still at the start of the year 2022, but state governments across Nigeria are taking drastic action to reduce the cost of governance. That's according to the governor of Jigawa State, Alhaji Badaru Abubakar. He told Channels Television's Ladi Akredudale on our current affairs program Newsnight that in addition to reducing wastage and frivolities, the various states are adopting strategies to improve their fiscal position in order to better provide essential services to the people.
All the governors tried to look inward on their spendings and develop principle of value for money spending. You don't see wastages like you see before. You don't see governors going in a convoy now of 30, 40 vehicles. You see us mostly now with 3 or 4. Most of the governors have dropped those unnecessary expenditures to reduce cost of governance. That is the first step, to reduce cost of governance. And most of the governors have prioritized their employment into education, health, and necessary services that have direct impact to the people development. A lot are not employing except in education and in health these days. That also helps to reduce the burden. The expenditure pattern on even the so-called security boards that people are talking has dropped drastically. Some of us don't even have any security boards that people call security boards. We don't have some. So I believe we are doing our best to reduce the expenditure and direct it towards how it will benefit the common man in all our states. All the governors are aware of this. That is one. 2, we are pushing greatly on the zero oil initiative, trying to create more and more products, exportable products, that the government will generate more revenue. That is 2. 3, like you have said on the tax, there is competition now on tax. How do we now realize more tax so that the states can eventually be self-sustaining? So all this put together will help in reducing the burden of the loan that you have said. And again, the oil prices are coming up and down. If we have a boom or so in 1 or 2 years, that will help to wipe out those loans.
You can watch the full interview with Governor Badaru Abubakar on Newsnight. It airs tomorrow, Monday, January 17th, 2022, at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. As part of efforts to fast-track the development of Nasarawa State, a technology village is underway. A flag-off of its construction was performed by Governor Abdullahi Sule at the project site in Asopada village of Karu local government area. Our correspondent, Halima Gayom, has a report.
Governor Abdullahi Sule, flanked by some stakeholders, laid the foundation for a technology village. And the land at the racecourse, which has been abandoned for over 20 years, would now house the Nasarawa Technology Village. An initiative which is a fusion of a technology hub and a housing estate is expected to improve the social and economic status of the state.
And upon graduation, Decagon Learning Institute will also secure outsourced jobs globally for the graduates, and successful companies and graduates will be able to earn up to $3,000 US every month.
The federal government lauds the initiative and assures of its support.
In terms of innovation and technology, we're actually behind Kenya, we're actually behind Morocco, Mauritania, South Africa, and other countries. So it is ventures like this, it is projects like this that can crystallize Nigeria, to achieve that innovation status.
For the governor, it's a vision and the process of actualization.
In a governor, especially for Nasarawa State, is coming with a vision to drive the state to development so that when you leave, people will look around and say, yes, this was developed, this vision was there by these people, and may God continue to bless them.
The project is a joint venture with a consortium whose features are in line with the state's economic blueprint, the Nasarawa Economic Development Strategy, NEDS. A technology hub and 1,962 units of different categories of houses are to be built on 57 hectares of land in Asupada settlement of Karu local government area. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
Officers of the National Drug Enforcement Agency have intercepted about 1.5 million tablets of pharmaceutical opioids in Edo State, while almost 500,000 tablets of diazepam tablets were seized in Kano and Anambra states. According to the NDLEA, following intelligence reports, 1.4 million arms and ammunition were seized from a suspected bandit and drug kingpin in Plateau State, while over 137.75 kilograms of assorted illicit drugs were recovered during other operations across 7 states in the past week. Meanwhile, attempts by drug traffickers to export 73 parcels of cannabis weighing 34 kilograms and concealed in foodstuff containers heading to the United Kingdom were also intercepted by operatives at the narco shed of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Ikeja, Lagos. With the growing security challenges across the country, it's become necessary to develop capacity amongst officers in the discharge of their duty. That's according to the newly appointed commandant of the National Defense College, Rear Admiral Murtala Bashir, who also notes all hands must be on deck so as not to fall short of expectations, as security remains paramount in any society.
In the next few years, these participants are going to be at the helm of affairs of the organizations, which means it is necessary for us to develop in them the requisite knowledge, skill, and attitude for them to be able to handle the positions at those levels. It's even more important now that we're facing a lot of challenges in the country, security-wise, economic, in terms of infrastructure. I think the economic, security sector is the most challenging. And I think we have never been this challenged since the end of the Civil War in 1970. So I understand the responsibilities that come with this appointment. And I just want to assure everybody that I'm going to put in my best. I'll apply myself and I'll hit the ground running.
In national development, political economist Professor Pat Otomi has told Nigerians abroad that they have a duty to champion a massive intervention to rescue Nigeria. Addressing a hybrid meeting of Nigerians in Dallas, Texas, in the United States, Professor Otomi said the current Nigerian political leadership has left insecurity, poverty, unemployment, and anger as the main landmarks on the streets and requires high stakeholders with moral obligation to help halt the drift in the country. He said the diaspora, which has high competencies and a global network, is being blocked from its role in national rejuvenation by politicians in Nigeria who thrive on exclusion to achieve state capture. Mr. Otomi assured his diaspora audience that within 3 weeks, the NC Front Movement, several political parties and civil society organizations will announce a political platform that will enable Nigeria begin again and reclaim the promise of the founding fathers. The International COVID-19 Vaccine Initiative, led by the World Health Organization, claims to have delivered a total of 1 billion vaccines to 144 countries and regions of the world. The information was revealed by the World Health Organization in a press release. The WHO said its 36 member states have seen a vaccination rate of less than 10% and 88 member states less than 40% as of Thursday. There's more in the Global Update.
The World Health Organization's announcement comes as more cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 and deaths are recorded. First deaths from the Omicron variant were reported in Iran on Saturday, with a total number of over 1,000 confirmed to have been infected with the highly contagious virus across the country. As of Saturday, the pandemic claimed 18 lives in the past 24 hours, the lowest in 22 months, bringing the national death toll to 132,044. More than 6 million people have recovered from the disease and been discharged from hospital across the country, while 1,369 remained in intensive care units. Thousands of protesters packed the streets of Amsterdam today in opposition to the government's imposed COVID-19 measures and vaccination campaign as virus infections hit a new record. Authorities were granted stop-and-search powers at several locations across the city, and scores of riot police vans patrolled neighborhoods where the demonstrators marched with banners and yellow umbrellas. The crowd played music, chanted anti-government slogans, and then marched along thoroughfares, blocking traffic. There were also demonstrations in Germany over the weekend against measures aimed at curbing the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. At least 4,000 people gathered in the western city of Frankfurt, some showing banners and signs with slogans reading "School without mask" and "The Corona Hysteria Mask, the hysteria of capitalism." During a so-called Corona Walk, the crowd of demonstrators chanted freedom as they vehemently opposed a widely expected mandatory vaccination. Finally, the Chinese capital, Beijing, has reported its first locally transmitted infection of the highly transmissible Omicron coronavirus variant, just weeks from the February 4 start of the city's Olympic Winter Games and the country's Lunar New Year holiday. Lab testing found mutations specific to the Omicron variant in the person.
Just in, reports indicate that some governors of the All Progressives Congress are currently locked in a meeting in Abuja. Though details are still sketchy, one of the major issues set to be in contention is the date of the party's national convention slated for next month. We'll bring you details of this as soon as we get them. Just again, reports indicate some governors of the APC are currently locked in a meeting in Abuja. Though we don't have details, still sketchy though about this meeting. One of the major issues set to be in contention is the date for the party's national convention, which was slated for next month. We'll bring you details as soon as we get them. In the meantime, a Somali government spokesperson has been wounded in an explosion this morning in the capital, Mogadishu. State-run Somali National News Agency said the blast at a junction of the road was caused by a suicide bomber targeting Mohammed Ibrahim Mwalimu, who has been rushed to hospital. Correspondents in the Prime Minister's office, where Mwalimu is based, say he did not suffer life-threatening injuries in the attack which targeted him as he was passing in his vehicle. It's not immediately clear who was behind the attack. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent say as many as 80,000 people could be affected by the massive volcanic eruption in Tonga that triggered tsunami waves covering the Pacific island in ash. No deaths have been reported so far. Officials say underwater volcano, which erupted on Saturday, sent a plume of ash into the sky, triggering warnings of 1.2 million waves reaching Tonga. The eruption was so loud it could be heard in New Zealand, which is about 2,383 kilometers from Tonga. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says there have been no official reports of injuries or deaths in Tonga as yet after the tsunami triggered by a massive undersea volcanic eruption. She, however, said communications with Tonga were still limited as the eruption cut off the internet and phone lines to the whole country. Several coastal areas of Tonga were still uncontactable.
The main undersea communications cable has been impacted, likely due to the loss of power, and that is why communications have been limited. Telecommunication authorities are working urgently to restore communication. Official damage assessments are not yet available. However, our High Commission in Tonga advised the tsunami has had a significant impact on the foreshore on the northern side of Nuku'alofa, with boats and large boulders washed ashore. Shops along the coast have been damaged and a significant clean-up will be needed. Nuku'alofa is covered in thick film of volcanic dust, but otherwise conditions are calm and stable.
The impact was also felt in Peru. The shores of several cities were flooded with seawater following the tsunami. Images broadcast on local television showed people walking with water up to their knees in the city of Pisco in southern Peru. Vehicles were also trapped in the flooded streets. Many coastal towns such as Barranca and Paracas evacuated bathers from the beaches as a safety precaution. Japan was under a warning as traffic was backed up in the southern part. Cars blocked streets in the district of Oshima in Kagoshima Prefecture, with social media user Yudai Sabone tweeting videos of parked cars, noting that the warning had not yet been cancelled. Hundreds of thousands of Japanese citizens were advised to evacuate today as waves of more than a meter hit coastal areas. Locals in Tonga say Tonga looks like a moonscape after being coated in a layer of volcanic ash. The dust was reportedly contaminating water supplies and making fresh water a vital need. Aid charities say the ash and smoke had prompted authorities to tell people to drink bottled water and wear face masks to protect their lungs. Experts say the eruption of the Hunga Tonga Hunga Hapai volcano is one of the most violent in the region in decades. Tennis superstar Novak Djokovic has been deported from Australia after losing a last-ditch court bid to stay in the country. The Serbian player went to the airport in Melbourne just hours later. Federal agents escorted him and his team from the business lounge to the gate, where he boarded an Emirates flight bound for Dubai.
The orders of the court are: 1, the amended application be dismissed with costs, such costs to be agreed or failing agreement assessed. 2, reasons to be published at a later date. Those are the orders of the court.
World number 1 Novak Djokovic loses his last gasp bid to avoid deportation from Australia on Sunday, ending a sensational legal battle over his coronavirus vaccination status. An extremely disappointed Djokovic has complied with the unanimous federal court ruling that upheld the government's right to rip up his visa over fears his stoking anti-vaccine sentiment. There are divided opinions on the decision to cancel Djokovic's visa to enter Australia, with some saying it was a fair decision and supporters blaming politics.
I have a 12-year-old. I have a niece and nephew that play elite tennis that have been able to play at all throughout this whole pandemic, and to get back to playing had to have their double vaccination to be even being allowed to train. Fair's fair. For children to have no choice about the matter, to play their sport that they love and they're dedicated, and they have see him as a hero to aspire to. I think fair's fair. That will be my opinion on the matter.
And there's been too many instances of people being locked out of their own state, and because of the COVID restrictions, and I don't think it's fair that he'd be allowed to come in, to be honest. So I think it's the right decision.
Well, he came here to play tennis, and he had an exemption to come here and play tennis. He was allowed to come here, and that's what he should be doing.
It's a political stuff.
This is just so political.
Serbian President Alexander Vučić has strongly criticized Australia's handling of the situation.
If you only made it clear that whoever is not vaccinated cannot enter the country, Novak Djokovic either wouldn't have gone or he would have got vaccinated.
The unanimous ruling by a 3-judge federal court bench dealt a final blow to Djokovic's hopes of chasing a record 21st Grand Slam win at the Australian Open that starts on Monday.
So updates now from the African Cup of Nations. Musa Barrow converted a 90th minute penalty for Gambia to snatch a 1-1 draw against Mali, with the match day 2 result set to take both teams through to the second round of the Africa Cup of Nations. Mali went ahead after 79 minutes in Limbe when Ibrahima Kone scored from another penalty, both of which were awarded after the Moroccan referee watched replays on a VAR monitor. Alhaji Kamara bundled the ball into the net following an astonishing goalkeeping blunder in injury time to give Sierra Leone a shock 2-0 draw with Côte d'Ivoire at the Africa Cup of Nations in Douala on Sunday. Former Premier League forward Wabi Kazri scored twice as Tunisia recovered from a controversial loss to Mali by hammering Mauritania 4-0 in Limbe on Sunday in the Africa Cup of Nations. Elsewhere, Liverpool kept their slim hopes of reeling in Manchester City at the top of the Premier League alive by seeing off Brentford 3-0 at Anfield to move up to second in the table earlier today. Fabinho, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Takumi Minamino scored the goals as the Reds coped without the presence of Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane at the Africa Cup of Nations. Victory lifts Jurgen Klopp's men to within 11 points of the runaway leaders, but they also have a game in hand on City. Jack Harrison hit a hat-trick as Leeds boosted their bid for Premier League survival with a 3-2 win against West Ham. And the main news again, 4 kidnapped students of the Federal University of Lafia in Nasarawa State today regained their freedom. That's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubari. From all of us here, it's good night.